Hello everyone, welcome to Delusion. I'm Sunshine. Our era has an interesting phenomenon. We always seem to be desperately searching for a sense of order in life. We hope that everything will progress step by step along a well-planned track. We fear accidents, fear losing control, and fear those sudden, unpredictable random events that disrupt our rhythm. But life, like a mischievous child who loves to play pranks, often arranges moments of unexpected chaos in the most unforeseen corners of our lives. When chaos strikes, do we complain helplessly about the unfairness of fate, or can we find a glimmer of hope to change our destiny within the mess? Today, let's talk about a movie that is like a clever Rubik's Cube, breaking apart time, fate, and coincidence, and then reassembling them in an unexpected way. It playfully shows us that life's most profound turning points often lie in the most unremarkable and chaotic moments. This film is Quentin Tarantino's timeless classic, Pulp Fiction. When it comes to director Quentin Tarantino, film enthusiasts certainly need no introduction. He's the maverick of the film world, a master of narrative structures and the aesthetics of violence. His 1994 film Pulp Fiction is essentially the pinnacle of his style. The movie not only won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival but also catapulted Tarantino straight to the ranks of cinematic legends. Starring major Hollywood names such as John Travolta, Uma Thurman, and Samuel L. Jackson, Pulp Fiction's charm lies largely in its structure. It's said that Tarantino wrote the script over several months in a cafe in Amsterdam. That free, unrestrained creative environment infused the film with boundless imagination. Even more fascinating is the famous cheeseburger dialogue in the film, which actually stems from Tarantino's own travel experiences abroad. He wove these fragments of real life brilliantly into the movie, giving the seemingly cool assassins a relatable, almost endearing touch of everyday humanity. The story of Pulp Fiction isn't the kind that can be narrated with a simple once-upon-a-time opening, because it's not meant to be linear at all. The movie unfolds through three seemingly independent yet interrelated tales. The first story focuses on two hitmen, Vincent and Jules. These two are the right-hand men of a mob boss named Marcellus Wallace. Their daily job involves dealing with the boss's problems. As they carry out their missions, they casually chat about everything from hamburgers to foot massages, from Europe to the meaning of life, as if killing is just another mundane part of their day job. The second story shifts to Marcellus' wife, Mia. With Marcellus out of town, he asks Vincent to take Mia out for an evening. What follows is a night that's both thrilling and nerve-wracking, starting with a twist contest at a diner and spiraling into a life-or-death crisis filled with unexpected twists and turns. The third story revolves around a boxer named Butch. He takes money from Marcellus to throw a fight but decides at the last minute to go against the plan. Not only does he win the fight, but he also steals Marcellus' money and plans to elope with his girlfriend. But just when he thinks he's home free, a seemingly insignificant reason forces him to return to the danger he thought he'd escaped, leading to an utterly unexpected, intimate encounter with Marcellus himself. These three stories are like pieces of a scrambled puzzle. Tarantino tears them apart and reassembles them. 1 minute, you're watching the beginning of one story, the next, you're at the end of another. This unique narrative structure might leave first-time viewers baffled, but as you follow the film's rhythm and slowly piece the fragments together, you'll discover a complete picture about fate, choice, and redemption. That aha moment of realization is exactly what makes this film so captivating. The most celebrated aspect of Pulp Fiction is undoubtedly its cut-up-and-pasted back-together narrative structure. But today, let's put aside the complicated film theories and instead dive into two particularly intriguing life themes that emerge from this: chaotic storytelling. The first theme is inevitability in the midst of chance. The film is rife with coincidences and unexpected events. For example, why does Butch the boxer cross paths with Marcellus again? Simply because he goes home to retrieve an old gold watch left behind by his father. Sounds absurd, doesn't it? Risking his life for a watch? Yet it's this seemingly trivial choice that pulls him back into the vortex of fate. Another iconic scene features Jules and Vincent, who, after a killing, are suddenly ambushed by a young man hiding in the bathroom. He bursts out and wildly shoots at them, only to miss every single shot. Vincent brushes it off as sheer good luck, a low-probability event, while Jules interprets it as a divine intervention. One trusts science and probability, the other believes in fate and divine will. This reflects how we navigate life's randomness. When you're stuck in traffic, caught off guard by an unexpected work question, or run into an old friend you haven't seen in years, how often do you simply call it luck? Yet Pulp Fiction seems to ask whether there might be an unseen inevitability behind all these random events. Could there be a force subtly guiding us toward certain turning points in life? The film offers no answers but simply puts the question out there. Jules, believing in divine intervention, decides to give up his life as a hitman and pursue a new, peaceful existence. Vincent, the skeptic, ends up being fatally shot by Butch, in a bathroom, no less. Perhaps this is Tarantino's way of presenting us with a profound puzzle. How do you interpret the coincidences in your life? Your interpretation could very well shape your destiny. This leads us to the second theme, choice and redemption. Almost every main character in this film faces a life or death choice, and their decisions directly determine their outcomes. Jules, for instance, experiences a complete worldview shift after surviving what he considers a miraculous shooting. He begins to rethink his role as a hitman, or more broadly, the sheer meaninglessness of his life up until that point. In the climactic diner scene, when faced with a robbery, he doesn't resort to his usual violent methods. Instead, he chooses an entirely different approach. He preaches. He recites the Bible passage he used to utter mechanically before his kills, but this time, he interprets it in a new way. He says he wants to become the shepherd, guiding the weak through the valley of darkness. At that moment, Jules achieves spiritual redemption. He lays down his weapon not out of fear, but because he has found something more powerful than violence, forgiveness and the resolve to change. His story shows us that no matter what kind of person you've been or what you've done in the past, you can always make a new choice. Redemption is often just one thought away. Tarantino's nonlinear storytelling actually amplifies this idea. By scrambling the timeline, we, the audience, gain a God's-eye view of the characters at different points in time. We see Jules' cold brutality when killing and his calm enlightenment in the diner. This contrast makes his transformation all the more striking and powerful. It makes us believe that even in a chaotic and violent world, there is still room for the light of humanity to shine. There is a line in the film that stands out, spoken by Jules during his moment of enlightenment. "I've been saying that shit for years, and if you heard it, it meant your ass. But I never really questioned what it meant." This line is so iconic because it resonates deeply with many of us. How often do we go through life repeating habits, spouting catchphrases, or following rules without ever questioning their true meaning? We are so busy doing that we forget to ask why we're doing. Jules' awakening begins with reevaluating a phrase he's uttered countless times. It reminds us that true growth often starts with scrutinizing and reflecting on what's become second nature. Another memorable line comes from Mia, who tells Vincent, "That's when you know you've found somebody really special. When you can just shut the fuck up for a minute and comfortably enjoy the silence." In a film brimming with violence and chatter, this line feels exceptionally tender. It defines an ideal relationship in the simplest terms. In an era where everyone is eager to express and fears awkward silences, being able to share a comfortable silence might just signify the deepest form of trust and connection. So, what is Pulp Fiction ultimately about? It's a story of chaos, yet within that chaos, it offers us glimpses of order. This order isn't dictated by God or fate, but emerges from how we interpret and choose to act. Life, much like a massive deck of cards filled with random events, doesn't let us control which cards we're dealt. But we always have the power to decide how to play our hand. You could be like Vincent, seeing everything as chance and coasting along indifferently until the game ends. Or you could be like Jules, reading Revelations in the chaos and deciding to play a whole new game. The movie may have ended, but the questions it raises linger on. In your own game of life, how will you face those unexpected good and bad cards? Well, that's all for today's episode. I wish you a good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Delusion, and we'll see you next time.